Oh, well, I just think you're in a tough spot lately, Prince.
In the ancient Greek myth of Sisyphus, a poor soul is doomed to forever push a boulder uphill without rest. Each time he'd push it up, it'd roll back down again and he'd have to start anew. But what if that Herculean climb uphill was actually awesome combat against a randomized variety of enemies as you fight your way out of hell with a wide range of godly powers that grow and combine in interesting ways as you progress? And what if, instead of going back to zero, you got a little bit stronger each time with the help from a colorful cast of allies and enemies who remember each of your attempts? That's Hades' premise, and the Greek mythology-themed roguelite that developer Supergiant Games has built around it makes going to hell a joy. You play Zagreus, the rebellious, heartthrob son of Hades as he takes on hordes of colorfully animated undead that fill the screen with danger in every randomly ordered room you pass through on your way to the mortal realm. Fortunately, Zag is a skilled warrior capable of wielding 6 different weapons, each with 4 different variants. That's just one layer of the epic replayability Hades offers. Regardless of your weapon of choice, Zag can dash out of trouble or get into a more advantageous position. And let me tell you, few things in life are as satisfying as a successful last-second dodge that sets you up for stabbing an enemy in the back for bonus damage. The final mechanic in Zag's moveset is the cast, a skill shot-based projectile that fires a red jewel into an enemy for a quick burst of damage. The jewel embeds itself into a target, disqualifying you from firing another cast until you kill the enemy and retrieve your ammo. So shooting it at the biggest, meanest enemy in the room isn't always the best idea. As with each of Zagreus' moves, using it well involves a delicate balance between risk and reward. Inevitably, you will die. A lot. Every death sends Zag back home to start over from scratch. Well, almost. You keep some persistent currencies used to upgrade overall stats, and progress in relationships with the wonderful cast of characters who inhabit the underworld. From Lord Hades himself, all the way down to Dusa.
Why, thank you, Prince.
I'm looking forward.
So get comfy. You're going to be spending a lot of time getting to know everyone, and it's time well spent. Zag's sympathetic coming-of-age story brought me in, but what I fell in love with was his tongue-in-cheek musings on the world around him and snarky back and forth with the disembodied voice of the narrator who comments on your actions as you go.
That dark and lavishly appointed lair of the underworld's king is home not just to him, but to his willful progeny.
You know I can hear you, old man.
In fact, the heart and soul of Hades, outside of its outstanding combat, lies in Zag's interaction with various deities and mythic figures like Achilles, Orpheus, and more. Turns out that adding a dash of dating simulator mechanics to a roguelite was the secret sauce in making good use of a large cast of interesting characters. Each personality feels like an authentic reinterpretation of a classic Greek myth, and they're all a joy to behold. Investing in Zag's relationships with each character paves the way for interesting backstory reveals, world building, new side quests, or even items to assist on your future escape attempts. Advancing these relationships far enough grants you persistent keepsakes and companions, which are both invaluable tools in aiding Zagreus' quest to run away from home. Of course, not all keepsakes are as useful as others. Given the choice between the lucky tooth that grants you an additional chance at life, or Olympic keepsakes that increase your chance at better drops, I'm gonna go with the second life every time. Something that's truly special and unusual about Hades is that Supergiant Games uses these persistent relationships to travel the difficult path of marrying story to gameplay, and in doing so, elevates the simple loop of Zag's escape into something that's more than the sum of its parts. Within the world of most roguelites, a failed run is not typically seen as part of the story, with apologies to Rogue Legacy, of course. But in Hades, a death leads to Zag returning home and being met with probing questions about his progress, and usually some mockery, probably from Dad. This transforms something as fundamental as death from a video gamey failure state into in-game world building. Characters remember your triumphs and failures with a staggering amount of incidental dialogue that made me feel like I was constantly chipping away at new content within Zag's story, even when I failed. After a while, I no longer feared death. In fact, I embraced it and used it as an opportunity to learn and revisit friends back in the House of Hades to see if they have something new to say. Losing that fear of death is important because, again, you're gonna do a lot of dying. I didn't manage a successful escape until attempt 31, which I hear is roughly the average, or at least I hope it is. Each of those attempts is aided in a different way by Zag's aunts, uncles, and cousins up on Olympus who are eager to rub Lord Hades' nose in it if you eventually succeed. Their godly power-ups modify Zag's abilities, making every run feel new and unique. And let me tell you, that rabbit hole runs deep. There are a ton of different boons and combinations to learn and earn, and you'll be seeing new ones after dozens of runs. Like any good roguelite, Hades forces you to make difficult decisions that either complement your current build, or you could throw caution to the wind and attempt a riskier build that could pay off 4 chambers down the line if you survive long enough and luck into the boon you're hoping for. All of that feeds into Hades' impressive replayability, which again has many layers. For instance, while you may face the same bosses over and over again, they too will adapt to your increase in power level. Whether it be in the form of Street Fighter style assists from siblings, sprouting new heads, or fancy new armor, repeated encounters with bosses felt fresh because of these clever modifications to how they fight. It makes sense within the fiction as well, considering the bosses remember their past failures and successes against you. Each fight is like a rematch between rivals rather than a repeat. I rolled credits on Hades at approximately 48 hours in, and I'm still met with new storylines, challenges, and side stories to tackle, and a quick look at the achievement list teases an epilogue that I haven't even discovered yet. Hades is a one-of-a-kind roguelite that sets the bar for creatively combining wildly different genres together and using their strengths to complement each other in unexpected ways. Its blend of satisfying, Twitch-based action with countless modifiers to build replayability, dating simulator-esque character interactions, and turning failure into a thing you look forward to as a means of progressing the story all coalesce to an experience that is more than the sum of its parts. I'm over 50 hours in, 70 escape attempts deep, and I can't stop thinking about my next trip to hell, because Hades is an experience I never want to end. For more roguelike unpredictability, check out our review of Spelunky 2, and for all things everything else, IGN.com.